All right, hey guys. So my son is sick today, or tomorrow, today for when you're seeing it. So this is your sub work. Um, so go to your composition book. I know fifth period already did these notes, and I think maybe third period did these notes, but all the rest of the classes, and if you were absent yesterday, or if you didn't write it down, need to write it down. So go to your composition book, find the next open page, and copy this down. So I'm just gonna have you pause the video and copy it down. And then when you're ready, unpause it. But I'm just going to keep going. All right, so x-intercepts, remember we're trying to find this in factored form, and down here is a factored form. So this is a factored form. Remember it has like the two groupings like this. So we're going to first find the x-intercepts. This is what we did on Monday when we had our quiet day. So hopefully you guys remember how to do it. So technically you're making each parentheses equal to 0, but usually it's just the opposite. And we showed yesterday in our notes that 4 minus x was one of those weird situations, and it looks weird. And there's also 2x plus 1 will also be weird, where you need to set them equal to 0. We'll do more with that, but we first need to find the first two x-intercepts. Then we need to find the y-intercept. The y-intercept comes from writing it in standard form. This is the standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c, and we really only care about the c term. This is the y-intercept, and we're not taking the opposite like we did here. This one we said we take the opposite. We're not taking the opposite for the y-intercept. You do exactly what it says. So this one is opposite, this one is not opposite. And that means that if you're doing the box, you really only care about this square down here. And then the vertex, there's two steps to it. The first step is we find the middle of the x-intercepts. And remember, if you can't visually think through it, you just add them up and divide by 2. Make sure you do it as two separate steps. Add them together, divide by 2. And then the second step is you take that answer and you plug it into the equation to find the y value. So these are all the steps. So now we're actually going to do it. So towards the bottom of your page, write down this example. F of x equals x minus 4x plus 6. This is the one we're going to graph. So the first thing we need to do is find the y-intercepts, which these are both the ones that are written in the right form. So we're just going to take the opposite. So the y-intercept that comes from here is 4 comma 0, because we take the opposite of that minus 4. And the y-intercept that comes from this one is negative 6 comma 0, because we take the opposite. So then on our graph, so draw an x and y graph on your paper, we're going to plot these 2 points. So we're going to plot 4, the 4 over here, and then negative 6 over here. All right, so those are 2 of our points that are going to be on our parabola when we're done. All right, now we're going to do the y-intercept. Remember, the y-intercept is we are going to write it in the standard form. We only care about the c value, which is coming from this box. Or if you do FOIL, it's coming from the last. So I'm going to do the box with these 2. So if I do the box with these 2, and I only care about this last box here, so that's negative 4 and 6. So it's going to give me a negative 24. So that's my y-intercept is going to be 0, negative 24. So then I add that to my graph. It's my y-intercept. This is my y-axis. So I'm going to go down to negative 24. I'll just make it over here, negative 24. Put a point there. So now I have 3 of my dots, my 2 x-intercepts and my y-intercept. So now I'm going to find my vertex. My vertex, the first thing I need to do is find the middle of my x-intercepts. So to do that, I'm going to add the 2 x-intercepts I found and divide by 2. So here are my 2 x-intercepts. So I'm going to add these 2 together, 4 plus negative 6. That will give me negative 2. And then I divide by 2. So that will give me a negative 1. So for my vertex, I'm going to have a negative 1 as my x value. So I just take my x-intercepts, add them together, divide by 2. Then I'm going to, for step number 2 for my vertex, is I'm going to plug in that x value I just found, which was -1, to find the y value. So I'm going to take this -1 from here and I'm going to plug it back into the equation here and here. That's going to be -1 minus 4. Sorry, my mouse is a little slow. And then -1 plus 6. So I can do this mentally if you know how to do. If you do that math, that's fine. You can do it mentally, or I can do it in my calculator. So I'm going to pull up my calculator. And it was -1 minus 4. And then -1 plus 6. And I got -25. So the second part of my vertex is at -25. -25. All right, so I'm going to graph that point. So -1 would be like here, and then -25 would be here. So my vertex would be like right here. And now I have my 4 points, my 2 x-intercepts, my y-intercept, and my vertex. I use those 4 points to make my parabola. Now make sure when you do your parabola that you don't go like weird like this and come back up here. This purple is the vertex, which means that that's the lowest point or the highest point, depending on which way the graph goes. And nothing should be either below it or above it. So this is my lowest point. So when I go to graph this, I need to make sure that when I draw that U, that the lowest point is on that purple dot, the one that I have. So it's going to draw like this and then come back up like that. And it should be a better U than that, but I'm using my mouse. All right, so it should be a pretty symmetrical U. This was not a very good U. All right, but those are the 3 steps. Find the x-intercepts, find the y-intercepts, find the vertex. All right, so what you're doing for a class today is on ClassKick, there's an assignment called Lesson 11 Practice. There are 5 slides that you can do. You need to do at least 3 of them. If you need to do more practice, then do more practice. There are answer slides. So there's a slide with the problem, and then the next slide is the answers. So I'm just checking to see that you're doing it and then checking your answers to make sure it's right. This part of your grade is just graded on effort because obviously I'm giving you the answer. So I'm not grading it on correctness. So just check, do the slide by yourself and then check your answers and make sure it's right. Then you're going to complete the cool down. The cool down the sub has, so you're getting it from them or however they're handing it out. The sub has your cool downs. It's on my desk. So you're going to get your cool down, you're going to do your cool down, and you're going to turn it in the turn-in bin. All right, and then when you're done with that, you're going to work on your weekly homework assignment on Schoology, missing work, or anything else that's not disruptive and school appropriate. And then I will be back tomorrow to move on to lesson 12. If you have any questions, remind message me is the best option. You can also Schoology message me, and I'll be able to get back to you because again, it's my son that's sick, so I'll be able to get back to you pretty quickly. So if you have any issues, you have any questions, obviously you can ask the people in class or remind message me or Schoology message me your questions. And I will see you tomorrow.